Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of a special Sacrament video. My name is Steel Deal and I'm here joined by my special guest, our CEO, Jeremiah Lanham Linscott. How you doing today?
Pretty good. About yourself?
Doing fantastic as always. So today this video entirely, what it's meant to do is cover our recent motion to create a Patreon page. You've been working with this page a while. Could you kind of go into detail what this page is and what's exactly going to be doing?
So Patreon, think of it as a long-term extended Kickstarter, really, a crowdfunding of any of those types, where instead of hitting big goals, right, with an MMO, it takes a long time to develop. At the same time, it costs a lot of money. So raising $13 million in a month or even 2 months is a lot less likely, which is why people typically go back and forth to Kickstarter or other crowdfunding, things like that. Patreon allows us to provide people that do want to donate a way to do so in a few different ways, where they can just select to give us $10 whenever they have it, or set themselves up on a subscription for $5 here or there. So basically it's Kickstarter with a much longer lifespan.
And speaking of Kickstarter, as you know, we had our recent campaign, and I know there were a couple of folks who had pledged a certain amount of money. We had a couple of folks pledge $1,000, a couple of folks pledged down 10. Due to the success of the Kickstarter not being so, they're not going to exactly be able to give that money in, but they will be able to give it in through Patreon. Now, for those who essentially pledged during the Kickstarter phase, will they still be able to get those Kickstarter rewards that they initially pledged for? Or based on the Patreon tiers that we're going to cover in just a second, will they be receiving those rewards instead?
Yeah, in order for the Kickstarter rewards to happen, the Kickstarter would have had to have been successful. Fear not, we're not changing all that much, so it's not like it's just going away. So they're going to be able to get the same stuff, very similar, even some adjustments that we've made through Patreon.
Is there any certain set date for Patreon to actually launch?
There is not. We're waiting on a couple of things. We rushed the video for the Kickstarter a little bit, so there were some glaring errors that made us look like we were highly unorganized and unprofessional. I don't want to ever give that image again. It's something that we're going to not just strive, but absolutely ensure that never comes across that way ever again. So with our Patreon, we're going to be a little more patient. We've got the entire page set up. Now it's really just down to Boyce, who is our junior video associate. Him and I are going to be working together to create, I think it's a 1 minute, 45 second to like a minute 20 long video is the typical duration of those videos. So that's what we're waiting for. I want that to be a direct representation, just like everything else has to be a direct representation of who we are as a company.
And so now let's head on into our Patreon tier rewards. People can essentially earn by giving certain amounts, and those are all categorized to our tiers. Essentially, there are two types that can essentially be earned. One is just our basic monthly subscription. What happens is you pledge a certain amount that you're willing to give per month, and based on how much you give, you'll be able to receive certain rewards. With, of course, if you give a higher tier amount, you'll be able to receive all previous rewards, similar to how we did at Kickstarter. But also a nice thing we're doing is we're doing certain rewards where if you donate a certain amount over a period of time, get that nice accumulative amount going, you'll be able to get certain rewards from there as well. All right, and so our first tier is going to be tier 1, which is set at $1 a month. And this is essentially the ability to post our players' forums. Now, this had been actually something offered on the Kickstarter for $10. How is this a little bit more different with players giving $1 a month?
With the Kickstarter setup, we were actually going to lock down the entire forums. Instead, we're going to have a general forums open to the public, with the player forums dedicated to those who are contributing. This is the focus. This is a major thank you that we've got to the players. Some people aren't going to like it. Some people are going to call this a type of paywall. It's $1. Get over the idea of a paywall. The importance here is we want to make sure that the voice of those who are invested, not just emotionally and not just financially, but who are as invested as they can actually be on a level that you can be with an indie no-name company. The opportunity to have your voice heard outside of just the normal crowd. So when we do polls or any voting takes place, this is our second leg of the voting process.
You definitely want these player forums open to those who are essentially contributing and who are also definitely a part of the game development process. Is that still true?
Absolutely. We stand by that. We're going to continue. We've made some minor adjustments so that others can make some ability to post, but we want to vastly limit the negative feedback that always comes with those who haven't even spent 2 minutes looking at a game, let alone invested in a game itself.
All right, so now we're going to move on to our tier 2 rewards, and this is essentially set at $5 a month. And what happens is, like we've always done with all of our tier rewards, you're going to get everything from the previous tiers, but with this tier in particular, you're going to get $1 of United States dollars value of in-game cash currency And pretty much it's, to spend on things you see in the shops, or be able to spend on anything we have inside the game that essentially takes in-game cash currency. And then we're going to move right along to our tier 3 rewards, which are set at $10 a month. And of course you're going to get all the previous tier rewards, and then at this point you're going to get $2 instead of just that $1 amount. And that's just going to keep going up per month as you keep giving.
Those two amounts stack, so it winds up being $3 per month you're accumulating.
Now moving right along into our tier 4 rewards, and this is set at $25 a month. And at this point you're going to get $6 in cash shop currency that you can use, and as stated, this will be stacking up. So at this point, if you're giving $25 a month, that means you're getting $9 per month in in-game currency. If you continuously keep giving, that's going to stack up to a lot. And like I said, with our in-game cash shop currency, and especially with our in-game cash shop, this is all going to be mostly cosmetic stuff. Definitely nice for the role players if you want to be able to get some cool armor sets and different things that they offer, but nothing from the cash shop is ever going to affect the gameplay or ever give anyone any sort of advantage. So definitely don't consider this a way to start working on your pay-to-win strategy, because this game is certainly not pay-to-win.
Not at all.
Alright, now we're going to move up to our final amount, which is our tier 5, which is about $50 a month. At this point, you're getting a really good deal here. For tier 5, you're getting $15 of value of in-game cash shop currency. That's stacking up per month. So if you were giving this much, not only are you getting the $15, but you're getting all the previous. So at this point, it'd be like, what, $25 that these guys would be getting per month?
24, yes.
24. Alright. At this point, you're getting a lot of in-game currency you're being able to give towards the company, and of course you're getting all the previous tier items as well. But for the most part, like I said earlier, we have stacked tier options. Pretty much what happens is, as you go along, you're going to be able to, if you give a certain amount, and then we'll be able to keep a good track of it, eventually as you get up to certain points, you're going to be able to start getting additional rewards for your giving. Also, our heartful appreciation. So starting off, if our tier 1 reward is just a thank you from not only the founders, but also everyone in the company. And this means that you're also going to get your name in the credits when the game goes live. With this though, we will require a first last name before live launch, or a gamer's name if you prefer we utilize that. Or you could go both ways, where you use your in-game name and your first and last name. Either way, you'll put your name in the credits, and that's actually pretty darn cool. For our tier 2, this is going to be set at $30 stacked, so pretty much as your monthly giving goes, if you give up to $30, you're going to be able to get a 20 slot bag for your personal bank. And this bank essentially is going to be shared across the account, but do know you only get one bag per account as you give, so be sure you are mindful of that. Moving along into tier 3, at a $40 amount, you're going to get, stacking that up, you're going to get a 20 slot bag for your character's inventory space, one bag per character, and it's not tradable. So don't think you can get this for a bunch of your characters and then decide to sell it off. It's considering the fact we're giving the previous tiers, not only are you going to get a 20 slot bag for each of your characters, but you're going to get a 20 slot bag for your bank. So if you're somebody who likes storage, this will actually work out pretty nicely for you, especially if you're consistent on the giving. You'll be able to get up there and bam, you're going to be covered in terms of gathering items and traveling across the world. Moving right along to our tier 4, which is essentially $50 stacked, and what this will get you is one copy of the game. You will get the in-game and form Patreon title, so that means you're going to be able to get a title for your characters and a title for your form, especially with that player form too. And then you're also going to get all the previous items. So not only are you getting some great storage, but you're getting a copy of the game, you're getting a fancy title, and you're getting the ability to post on the forums as well. Alright, now so now here's where it starts getting really expensive, but if you're consistent on the giving, these might not be so big. Tier 5, this is going to be the $100 stacked. Pretty much what you're going to get is 2 copies of the game. This will not kind of stack with the other copy of the game. Sadly, we can't give you 3 copies, but hey, you're getting 2 copies of this game for $100. That's still pretty darn good. These games normally cost about 60-70 bucks nowadays, depending. And you also, for each of those games that you're going to get 1 month of subscription for each copy. And now note that this will be redeemable at any time you choose, and this is not automatically applied to your account. I know a couple games out there, they do automatically apply some of those promotional stuff to you. We prefer to let you do it when you want, and that's really nice too. Especially if you got already an active subscription, you want to just hold back on that month and save it to maybe a point you're running a little low on funds, but you have it that month available. Just throw that in and bam, be able to keep going. Now our tier 6 award, which is a $250 amount on stacked. So that means if you're consistent with the giving, you'll be able to get it to this $250 mark. And what this will get you is a 3-month paid subscription for both copies of the game. This is redeemed at any time, however, and this was not automatically applied. However, this will not be essentially stacked with that other month. You're going to get the 3 months, but when you really look at it though, you're getting 3 months per game, and that's pretty darn fantastic. And you also get $15 bonus cash shop currency at live launch for both copies of the game, so that's about $30. And I'll also be stacked with what you're getting in the upper hand. You could just consider this more of a bonus for your giving though. This will be all in US dollars, so you will of course get everything from the previous tier, where things though are not stacking. And then we're going to move into our tier 7, which is our $500 amount stacked. And this is essentially where you're going to get 6 months paid subscription for both copies of the game. Obviously redeemable at a time, not automatically applied, but it will not stack with the other subscription amounts. But I mean, you're still getting 6 months, half a year, that's a lot of time for both games. You'll get an additional $15 bonus cash shop currency at live launch. And so that means at this point, if you reach up to $500, that's $30 in bonus on reward, but that's also applied to both games. So you're looking at a nice bonus if you get up to $500. You guys are really throwing a lot of in-game shop currency around, aren't you, Lay?
Right now, it's the biggest thing we've got. I would love to be able to throw some merc at people until we have the capability to create that merchandise and hand it off. Fortunately, I can't put it on the list, so.
All right, so moving along, we now have our tier 8 reward. This is a $1,000 amount. At this point, it's going to be a PvE or PvP session with the founders. This is at least a 1-hour event, and this will be streamed by us, and this will also, hopefully if you are able to, this will be streamed by you. Could you possibly go into a little bit of detail about that?
So I'm just going to be straight up. I will not PvP with anybody. If that happens, it's going to be one of them really wild chances. Probably never going to happen. But the PvE session, I mean, we're talking about, going into our dungeons and exploring certain areas of the world, hanging out, playing some game, having communications, just, ask questions or joke around and just screw off a little bit. The idea here was given to us by Armor on our forums over the last week or so, and we thought it was actually a really good idea. We didn't think anybody would give a crap about something like this. As I thought of it, I realized that if I was investing in a game, I would love to be able to purchase some time just to, hang out with the developers in the world and enjoy some stuff. If they're good at gaming. Obviously, playing with some of these developers would frustrate the hell out of me, so I probably wouldn't pay into that. So. And
then, like I said, you're not big into PvP. I know there's definitely a couple of folks in the company who are, myself included.
Oh yeah, Crave and Adora will do it. If you prefer to go out with Dr. Lore and PvP with him, I'm pretty sure he'll do it. So there's the options there for you to pretty much pick who you want to go and run with.
He could probably kill everything and tell you about it at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Along with this beautiful session that you can also get a lifetime subscription to Sacrament on both copies of the game. This will be redeemable at any time. I'm not sure why you wouldn't redeem it sooner, but you can redeem it anytime you wish. And of course, this is not going to be stacked with previous tiers. I mean, you're already getting a lifetime subscription. The additional months won't make much sense. Next little reward here is a bonus of about $50 of cash shop currency at live launch for both copies of the game. That's about $100 of additional bonus, along with all the other money amounts. I'm sure somewhere in the lower right corner there's a little thing that's saying what exactly the current amount is if you've given up to this point. Like I said, you're getting a lot of money if you've donated monthly at this point, or even one-time donation on this point. And also you will get 2 name reservations per game copy, and then it can be applied to a single game copy if you wish though. You can just get all of those to one account. Of course, you're going to get all the authorized items from the previous tiers. Alright, and so now our next reward here, and this is where it starts to get a little bit on the pricey side, but this will be our $5,000 amounts, and of course this is stacked up. I will say some of these rewards, very interesting. The first reward here is a fight against Lanham and his chosen team. And in this little challenge, what Lanham's team is going to do is they're going to take control of raid NPCs while you attempt to defeat them. And essentially this event's going to last up until you either win or give up, depending. Hopefully you don't give up, because we're mediocrely good. Some of us fantastic, some of us not so much. And you'll be able to select to 11 other players to join you. Only requirement though for any of these 11 players is that they contribute at least $1. And this is on their own separate Patreon account, and this is their own separate deal. It's not like you can go, well, I've given $5,011, can my 11 buddies come? They gotta do it on their own account. This event will be streamed by us and can be streamed by you or any one of your 11 buddies, depending. Anything you want to say on this, Lane?
I want to add a little bit of comfort to something Steele said here. The individuals I will be selecting are not going to be mediocrely good. These are going to be gamers, legit gamers who are going to kick your ass. We are going to cremate you. I mean, you're welcome to come and fight us if you really have what it takes. But let's be honest about something here. We're not your typical game developers. This is a game for the gamers by the gamers. That means I understand my systems very well on a very intricate level. Nobody is ever going to understand these systems the way I do. Even when people find loopholes and special ways to utilize the systems, I'm still going to understand more than they will ever understand about these systems. So we're not going to be mediocrely good. You're going to get your butt whooped. You're going to get challenged beyond belief. This is probably going to be one of the toughest things you'll ever do before you start getting into tier 19, tier 20 rating.
Now, one question I have, though, you yourself have stated that you would never really do PvP. And I know that some people might go, well, you're taking control of a bunch of NPCs and you're going against players. How is this a little bit more different than PvP, essentially?
So PvP is a whole nother ballgame, right? Everybody's got the same abilities, same gear, all that stuff. You're running around just kind of wildly looking at everything. Anything can happen at any point in time. PvP is a different system in and of itself. This is simply us taking over the PvE content, right? So abilities that players don't even have access to, AoEs and entire effects, things where players are going to have to understand the fight mechanic. Where if a player in PvP tries to focus on the surroundings to beat me, they're going to get their ass kicked. In this, you're going to have to understand the entire room, the scope of the fight to its entirety, or you're never going to survive. And we're not going to give you half an hour to figure it out either. We're going to put the pressure on from the very beginning. We're not waiting for you to figure it out. We want to see who's got what it takes to take on our raid tier content. This is dynamic, mechanic-driven PvP, if you want to call it PvP.
Oh, well, it sounds like a fantastic challenge. And now our next reward is the essentially one land deed. And this is what it is. It's access to a single plot of land in a community housing. Very nice for anyone who's interested in housing, wanting to get themselves set up. This is one of the first steps I would imagine to actually get into housing, is you gotta own the land in a community in order to do it. Do know though that this is tradable, so even if you're not somebody who's interested in housing, I'm sure you'll be able to sell this in game to somebody or give it to somebody who's more than interested in taking off your hand. You will, at this $5,000 amount, get access to our developer forums, where you're going to get priority responses from the team. Voting is done. This is essentially the first wave of voting that goes on down. Clarification you want to do there?
When we make decisions internally about things, when we have debates and arguments internally, right? Everybody has them. So when we have arguments about the way we think certain things should function, small things, right? More like when we talked about whether or not we should have damage, DPS, or efficiency listed on the weapon as the primary number people are looking at. That was an argument within the company, right? The founders, even Wicked, we all argued about the value of this and what would be important and what's changing for the sake of changing and changing because there's an actual point. Something like that, something where we are having a legitimate discussion about that we can't make a massive decision, or even we feel the community should absolutely have as much say in this as we do, we're going to take that to the community. And the developer section of the forums is the first people we talk to. These are the first people who get to see this. Their vote isn't any more than anybody else's, but they're going to have more inside information on this before anybody else does. So we'll be able to explain to them. They'll be able to ask direct questions to the developers. Everywhere else, even when we get to the players forums, a lot of questions get lost just in the scope of how many people are posting questions. A lot of times you see the same question 100 times and the answer to the question gets lost somewhere. So this is a way for us to be a little more directly connected to the people voting, get their take on it. If we bring it here and it's a unanimous, hell no, that's stupid, don't do that, then it doesn't go to the players forums. That's the only time. It has to be an absolute denial of or rejection of the idea. If we want it with a 75-25% vote, then we're pushing on the players' forums. If we wind up with a 95 to 5%, we're going to consider that a dumb idea and move the hell on.
So now the next reward is essentially you're going to get a choice of any of our digital artwork that's all going to be either created now or it will be created in the future, and you can essentially get that printed and signed by the artist that actually did that artwork. Now I gotta ask though, because I know with every 2 weeks we're releasing either some new racial art, we get some new deity art. Will they have to redeem this at a certain point, or can they wait a little bit and then be able to find something they really like in order to redeem it?
I would say redeem it before launch happens. We can add that to this must be redeemed by live launch, because after that, it's really going to get lost. It's going to be really difficult to do. The idea here is to create a high quality game. And when I say high quality, I don't mean what I think is high quality. I mean what I know to be a high quality game that brings people in, a place where people can live. When we have that, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of players coming and living in this world. Our artists are going to be busy. They're going to constantly be busy. We're not hiring artists to do a couple sketches and then releasing them before the game launches. It's not our intent, right? We're not here to make as much money as we possibly can. We're not pleasing shareholders. We're not removing people from our team just because it's going to increase our profit margin by 50% or whatever the case may be. So our artists are going to be busy doing a lot of work. We want to make sure that we give people the rewards that they've paid into, that they've earned. And in order to do that, I feel this one right here should have that marker on it. Hey, just so we're all clear, this needs to be redeemed by launch so that we can be sure to absolutely get this to you.
Right, indeed. And I know this will be based for all of our digital artwork. I know there are some people that absolutely have been liking some of our models that we've been releasing lately. Could this apply to those models if they were interested?
I don't see why not. It's digital artwork. I would say it's limited to a still image, but yeah, see why the model couldn't happen.
Just definitely want to clarify it for those who are definitely interested. Also just knowing that in the end of the day, we have high quality and we want to ensure that all of what we do is high quality and not based on monetary gain. Moving right along, we're going to head to our next reward, which is a in-game informed title insider. So pretty much you'll be able to apply this to all of your characters that you have inside the game and also apply it to your form title as well. You're also going to be able to get invites to some of our podcasts and other live stream events. Now, I know we do a couple of different live streams. You got Sacrament podcast that happens every Friday that we're releasing IRs of the week. And then there's also plans for a couple of live streams within the future to show off maybe some different content, maybe show off some of our guys at hard work. How will these invites essentially work?
I am glad you're asking this question because I'm realizing I need to clarify this a little more. This specifically speaks to live events. What I say about live events is, I mean, if we go to E3, we're going to buy a couple extra tickets and bring you along with us. If we do any type of celebration parties or any type of event at all in a real-time scenario, right? Not me on a computer screen, but us actually out in the world somewhere. I know we're nerds, that's unheard of. But in the event that happens, that's what we're talking about here.
And now, will there be a set limit onto how many invites, or will it just be based on invite say only?
Man, you donated $5,000. There is not a set limit. Not every event qualifies, so there are going to be events where there's restricted access. We haven't yet earned the capability to get set amount of badges, stuff like that. It's going to take a couple years for E3 to like us enough to give us, let's say we have 50 people at the 50,000 mark. It's going to take a bit for E3 to give us 50 additional badges that we can hand out to people that we want to hand out to. Not every event's going to qualify specifically for that reason, because we have to earn a lot of that. It's going to cost, and we're planning a part of that cost associated with this and other items that we're going to be releasing. So we've got a contingency in place to afford the cost, but we have to make sure that we're being upfront as well as providing as much of a privilege as we can, honestly.
As part of this, it stacks up, so if you're able to give it, we'll definitely be very appreciative. Now, I know we've given access so far to these guys if they've given $5,000 to our developers forums, but they're also going to be able to get access to our quest forums as well, and be able to submit quest ideas that they have, for many different things. Maybe they have an absolutely fantastic idea they want to do for a major storyline quest, or they might have just a simple, fun little daily quest that they have that they would like to propose. Either way, any quest ideas they have, if they've given up to $5,000, to be able to submit them using a specialized quest form that I can personally say works absolutely fantastic.
The form itself is very clear. Submitting a quest does not mean it's going to be used in whole or in part. So,
right, and also with any ideas submitted will become ours, and we will obviously give you our thanks and appreciation, but please do not expect any
monetary compensation or anything.
All right, and of course you're going to get all the previous items as well.
Big dog tiers.
Tier 10 is going to be the set amount for $10,000. Of course, this is stacked, but this is also considered our founder tier.
Let me say something real quick as we move into this right quick. The 5,000 mark, that fight Lanham and his chosen team, that is because of the size of the raid. That's going to be a tier 11 to tier 15 raid. I want to preface that as we move into this next part because it's very important.
Right, because in this tier 10, $10,000 stacked amount, you're going to have a very similar situation where you're going to fight against Lanham as his chosen team, where again, we're going to take control of a couple of raid NPCs, and you're going to go against us and try to defeat them. Of course, event's going to last until you either win or you give up. Either way, you're going to be able to select up to 23 other players to join you. Still that same requirement where they have to contribute at least $1 per person. And the event can obviously be streamed by us and can be streamed by you. Now, you were saying something along the lines, you get this 11 to 15. Could you kind of clarify what's going to be different from 11 to 15 to this tier?
Tier 11 to 15, the raid tiers aren't necessary for progression. They're going to be difficult, but they are what we consider the smack in the face introductions. Tiers 16 and 17 are you're no longer getting smacked in the face. Now you're getting pinned against the wall and told who your king is, okay? For those of you that get that reference, I love your face. These tiers get progressively more difficult. These tiers are specifically developed for raid groups. And when I say raid groups, I mean the overworld content itself. You're looking at 12-player parties, 30-player parties for overworld content. You're no longer running around solo, okay? Good luck if you do. Seriously, good luck. If you run around with a 6-player party and you're not really exceptionally good at what you do, you're probably going to get your butt whooped as well. So the raids in these tiers have to reflect that, and they absolutely do. So while you're fighting your way through the raid itself, you come into the boss fight, and all of a sudden now you're up against Lanham and his big dogs. We're going to wreck you. For those of you that don't think Lanham's little fire teams are worth anything, I'll point you to the direction of 4 Marines, well, more than that, but 4 specific Marines who you can ask them. During my time in the Marine Corps, I had my own little fire team to do, side tasks and stuff. Those in the military, you know what I mean. We don't play around. These aren't small timers. These aren't people that are kind of okay at what they do. These are individuals who are hardcore at what they do, who understand the intricacies and understand on a level that most people will never understand. Those are the type of people that you're going to be going up against. We'll gear you out. We'll make sure your character is capable of taking us on, but we're not going to make it easy. We're going to make you earn every ounce of the victory. You want to take a percent? Fine. I'm taking a life for every percent you take from me. I'm just saying, I'm probably going to kill a player for every percentage, so your rezzers had better be on point.
Now, quick question. I know some people are going, well, yeah, you're going to gear us up, but you guys are going to have a lot more time and experience with the game. Are we going to get any sort of time to be able to get a little bit of knowledge, get a little bit of understanding of maybe some rotations, a little bit of understanding of what we're doing?
We plan on releasing a combat module where you can go in. Right now, the plan is only up to 6 players. I guess we can expand on that to help with the raid scenario, but the plan is to have a 1 to 6 player combat module where you can direct link to buddies or something. It's not, the idea right now is not to have it connected to a live server so that it can be up at all times. Don't quote me on that. We may be able to adjust that. That'll all depend on how we're flowing with Improbable's technology, so more on that at a later date. But we want to provide a combat module for all of our classes as we have them, as we're releasing them for all of our abilities, where you can select and start learning and understanding the combat. Why the hell are you going to do this, Lanham? Every game says this is stupid to do. Because we get a ton of combat data back from you every time you send us the diagnostic. Every single time. free data, and you get to play a combat module in your game. It's not going to be a complete game. It's going to be a little combat room. Think the X-Men's training room, right? Where it's going to phase you into a small area and you're going to fight, waves of mobs, or it'll spawn a scenario that you have to work through in that single room. So it's going to be really small, really quick stuff, but it's going to allow players to get a feel for our combat, understand our combat, help us break and fix our combat. All of that's important. The combat is the most intricate part of any game. It is the most difficult part of a game to get down. It is something that we absolutely plan on running through every rigorous test that we can imagine until it has been destroyed, crying like a little kid in the corner, hoping that mommy comes and picks it up from daycare.
So our next reward is the primary priority login access to our permanent test server. Now this is the server that we're essentially going to have to test all the different things like our combat module. Imagine as we're moving further down the line, maybe testing out our crafting systems, maybe testing out some of the cool roleplay features we just released. But for the most part, you're going to get priority login access to that, no matter what it is. So any clarification on that for the most part?
So for those that have ever been a part of PTSs, you understand what the permanent test server is, right? It's a unrestricted beta. And by unrestricted, I mean there's no time restrictions on it. Not an unrestricted as in how many people can get into it. We would love to be able to have a 300,000 player population on the PTS. Absolutely would love it. It would give us way more data than we could get in any other type of setting. The PTS is the entirety of the game set up on a server in the most updated manner outside of the time restrictions for beta. Usually it's got anywhere from 3,000 to 3,000 people on it total. That's roughly the number we're going to aim for starting off. We're going to expand on it as we can. We can get a lot of testing done. We can get players who can sit on this for a year and go through the entire process, and we can gauge how well our system works on a very long process, right? I mean, you want to talk about gathering data. One of the big problems with beta events is they happen in one weekend, and you're supposed to gather enough data to make any real changes. It's simply not long enough to gather concrete data. Having it up for 6 months to a year, that gives us so much data that you're talking about, ask a scientist if they'd rather test a theory for a weekend or if they would rather test a theory for a year. And they're going to tell you, the longer I can test a theory, the more accurate I can give you a conclusion on my findings. The more accurate I can determine whether or not my hypothesis is accurate or inaccurate. And that's how we're approaching this. So the primary priority login access is great because, let's say we start at 300 and they've got access to it. At this point now, we expand to 3,000. But our servers, we still have to tweak our server tech. They'll have the primary access over all the new guys we just invited. And, it's going to suck for the new guys, but at the same time, welcome to testing a game. That's just the way it works.
Moving on to our next reward, which is the in-game and form title Founder. This will be, of course, able to apply to all of your characters as well as your form account. And like I said, at this point, with all the previous tier options, you're getting a lot of titles. One of these ones that's going to require a little bit of input from you, but definitely will be worth it if you love it. You're going to be able to work with lore writers and quest writers to design an NPC. And this will include their story and, if you wish, a unique quest for the NPC. And also, of course, some of the smaller things like, I guess, the description of the character, what they look like, what they do in the world, things of that nature. But for the most part, the two most unique that you'll be able to physically work with is their story and a unique quest, of course, for the NPC, lore, of course, obviously abiding. Of course, though, this will require a little bit of input on your side. We're going to obviously need some time to be able to meet with you on a communication of some sort, Skype, and maybe we'll just give you a call on the phone, whatever it takes. As long as we're able to work with you a little bit, we'll be able to get you the NPC that you've definitely earned by giving up to $10,000.
Oh, it's not a little bit. You're going to be working with the lore and quest team a lot if you're interested in actually creating this. So
if you're giving $10,000, you're going to be able to attend quarterly meetings with the founders. So what exactly are these quarterly meetings?
Quarterly meetings are the same thing with every business, right? State of the game, state of the business. What are we doing? What are we looking at? What are we going to do moving forward? Your typical meeting type with Ferocity Unbound, it's going to talk about workflow. efficiencies created, problems found, and resolutions created to help resolve problems, things that we need to get done, any milestones that we've reached, goals that we missed or hit or achieved before they were even done, the financial standing of the game, what we need, what we have, what is available, and potential ways to go about obtaining more if we need that. I mean, this is your typical quarterly meeting.
Fair enough. Now, question, would this be a meeting in person that they would be able to just get invited to, or this would be something they would be able to?
No, they'll jump in on a go-to-meeting call or Skype or whatever VoIP we're using at that point, spending a ton of money to do a quarterly meeting. I mean, I don't see this happening, but unless we do like quarterly meetings in the Bahamas or something, right? If that were to happen, then sure. I don't see that happening. We've got way too much work to do. We're not going to have time to go to the Bahamas. On top of that, we're an indie development company with zero funding who is asking people to help us. It would be one hell of a major insult if we went and took vacations in the Bahamas for quarterly meetings on the same dime that we're telling them we're building a game with. So no, it'll just be VoIP.
Of course, you're going to get all the previous items from the previous tiers. At this point, if you've given $10,000, you're getting a lot of great stuff. This is probably the biggest boy of them all.
There's no question.
So this is tier 11, which is essentially $50,000 at our stacked amount, and this is considered our Guildmaster tier. Now, if you are a Guildmaster and you're watching this, first off, raise your hand, let me see it. Now put it down. I'm not actually, I can't actually see your hands, but if someone says they can see your hands, you might want to close the computer screen camera off. Bad jokes are bad. Alright, so for this first reward, this is going to be essentially that same fight against Lanham and his chosen team. Obviously, same thing as usual. We're taking some raid NPCs and we're going to try and kill you with them. You're going to try and defeat us. It'll be a nice, happy party. The event's going to go until you either win, give up, however you decide to go. You're going to, at this point though, you're going to be able to select up to 35 other players for you to join. These participants, now this is nice, these participants must have an Actum Forum account, but do not have to contribute at all. Now, question on that, with this forum account, would this be like a paid player forum account, or just
Nope.
just a general forum account?
Yep, just a general forum account. Don't have to have even given $1. We're assuming at this point, right? So this is really guild perk more than anything, okay? I don't see too many individuals hitting the 10,000, let alone the 50,000, okay? I'm not delusional. I'm not imagining that there's 500 people out there willing to give $50,000 to an indie developer company, let alone any individual project out there. So this is a guild reward, and we want guilds who have the capability to, there are a couple out there, to come at us with everything they've got. Those guilds should be able to function at a very high level, right? Back in the day, way back in the day, 10 years ago, hell, up to at least 8 years ago, there were guilds who were sponsored by companies to raid, to be #1 worldwide. Okay, so these are real. A lot of people aren't aware of this kind of stuff. Okay, this is a call out to guilds like that. Really, this is a call out to guilds who have the capability, who really want to invest. We want to give some really unique rewards, and you're going to hear some really unique stuff coming up here. And this is one of them. You can bring a full-on 36-player maximum raid, and you can try to take us on in tier 18, 19, and 20 content. And we pick which one it is. You simply get to pick your team. We'll give you as much prep time as you need. We'll even give you access to raids so that you can see how the higher tier raids work. And then we're gonna duke it out. These guilds, these are the ones I'm a little worried about, right? The guys that raid competitively are the ones that I'm absolutely concerned about. These are the guys I'm going to have to work against. And my team is going to absolutely have to work against when it comes to shutting them down. It's going to be a hell of a fight to do it. The next reward you're getting in tier 11, remember, you're already getting 2 copies of the game with the lifetime subscription. On top of that, you're getting 34 other copies of the game for your raid team, each of them with their own name reservation and lifetime subscription. So there's 36 total lifetime subscriptions, 36 total copies of the game, and 30 what is that, 38 total name reservations.
I'd say around that mark.
It's a lot of goodies there. 50 grand is going to cost a lot of money to reach. Even that is a hell of a milestone to reach.
But certainly worth it if you get there.
Absolutely. And we haven't even got to the really good stuff yet.
So the next part, you're going to get $300 bonus value of our cash shop currency at live launch for all copies of the game. So, and this will also obviously count up from the total tiers that we've had with other in-game currency.
This is a cumulative with previous similar rewards for the 2 games, because obviously they were there, right? The 34 games, those are going to be presented as codes that you hand out to 34 other people. So those do not get the accumulative rewards for the cash shop from this 50,000 activation. If they're applied to an account that has their own cash shop currency rewards, it will accumulate with what is already on that account. So it's a cold hard $300. If you have not contributed at all, but you have an active forum account and you apply this code, you now become a part of the players forums, as well as you have $300 USD without spending any money outside of getting into this $50,000 mark.
So if you're an RP guild and you want to really hook your guys up, this is a perfect way to do it.
There's going to be a few things in the cash shops that players aren't even aware of right now that we absolutely believe certain guilds, certain groups of players are going to get into. And this will give them a chance to experiment with that kind of stuff. So we're looking forward to showing people the type of fun things we can put in the cash shop that aren't pay to win. Things that they can enjoy without hampering their enjoyment of the game itself or anybody else's enjoyment of the game. Because that's really what it kind of comes down to, right? The mix of the two. It's not enjoyable to PvP against somebody who just bought all the best gear off a cash shop. It may be enjoyable for the person that bought the gear, but it's not enjoyable to anybody else. So these are the things that we are absolutely going to not allow in our game.
So now our next reward for the 50,000 tier is you're going to be able to work directly with the development team to fine-tune our raids, and some of these events that we're going to be doing the fine-tuning with will be streamed by us, and if you wish, you can stream it yourself. But obviously, we're going to let you know which events we want streamed, because obviously we want to, of course, keep some things private, but we want to show some things off as well. And we're going to let you know in advance with everything that we're going to do in terms of these fine-tuning opportunities. But I got to ask, though, for these fine-tuning opportunities, is this going to be for the one person that has that $50,000 amount, or will these fine-tuning opportunities be to everyone that's been so far affected by this $50,000 reward?
Well, what's the use of a guild master reward if it doesn't include the entire guild, right? So it's all 36 total accounts.
Will every single one of them be able to stream it if they wish?
Do whatever they want. If we stream, they can stream. If they want to stream 36 different times, have 36 different people streaming, go for it. It's a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different point of views, so it's fine. I understand that there are guilds out there where it is against guild policy to stream. Do not invest in this. Honestly, it's like, if you don't want us streaming, don't participate in this, because I don't care what the guild policy is. This game is about being as open and creative as possible. Even if people understand the strategies, they've still got to perform. It's not going to be that easy.
And our next reward is going to be 1 guild land deed. And what this deed allows you to do is get access to your own little guild community. This will be pretty much primarily for housing options. So if you're a guild that wants its own little community, or you're a guild that absolutely loves our housing system that we're going to be having in this game, this will definitely be a great way for you and all of your buddies to be in the same location, and you'll be able to just build up your housing together. Do know, though, that this guild land deed is tradable in case you're just a guild that's interested in just, running around doing our raids or participating in our PvP events. This will more likely be tradable, or this will be tradable for you to give to any other guild out there. Alright, so our next little thing is going to be a unique guild banner that's going to be designed by our art team according to your specifications. We're going to have to work with you a little bit and make sure that you can get a clear understanding of what you're interested in for your banner. For the most part, it'll be mostly designed by you, and we'll take care of the rest in terms of creation. And this will be applied to everything for your guild in game. Along with this unique guild banner designed by our team, you're going to get a real print of this banner for you to hang in your home. And obviously the fabric, we're going to be working a little bit towards that, and we'll be able to, once we have it officially set, we'll be able to let you know what fabric it's going to be in. Pretty much you're going to get a real print of this thing to hang up in your house. So if you're someone who loves, organizing your games in a nice way, hanging up all your favorite posters, this will be something to throw right alongside it. And I gotta ask you, how many prints of these banners are we gonna get?
It's going to be based on fabric type and total cost to distribute. So it's unknown at this point in time. Originally, it was just going to be one for the guild leader, for the guild master. We did talk about the idea, though, of expanding that to the 36 accounts, and even the capability of them being able to buy the banner. We can't print and ship it, to find a way to bring the cost down as low as possible so that we can get it out to all the current guild members, not just the 36 accounts.
And then obviously you're going to get the in-game and form title guild founder. So this will be applied to all of your characters and also to your form account as well. I imagine this will be applied to all of those accounts that we have set up.
This one is actually going to be applied to the entire guild. So if you have guild members, let's say you have a 100-person guild and they want to, get this so that they can get their banners, so that they can send the 36 best to take us on, and all 100 people are chipping in on this and helping the guild purchase this, we want to make sure that the entire guild is recognized in this. So we want to create a way for us to have you provide a list of your current guild members and their accounts, so that we can apply it to their accounts in game.
And the final little note, if you are interested in donating a total amount greater than $50,000 at any point, stacked or just one-time donation, please contact our CEO. We'll have an email down below that you're going to be able to contact them by, and there's going to be some further reward options available. I mean, that's a lot of amazing tier rewards that we have available.
And that's just what we started with, right? If you've got ideas, things you'd like to see, let us know.
Right, and obviously, we've had some great submissions from users already on our forums, but outside of our forums, be sure to hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, wherever we are on social media. You can send us a message and we'll gladly get back to you as soon as possible, because our standard is high community interaction to build this game. Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed everything you see, please be sure to subscribe and check out all the other available videos. And also, before you go, a little bit of important news we want to let you know. We do have a very important podcast this Friday that relates back to our Kickstarter that we did about a month ago. Please be sure to tune in and check out all the amazing news and details we have in that. Otherwise, I'm Still Deal, and thank you so much for watching.